Good morning. This is Maria Quattrone, host of the Be the Solution podcast. And my belief is that we should live our lives providing values to others by being the solution. Our purpose is to teach others how to be the solution, and our goal is to help our listeners to become their own solution. The mission is to inspire people to become a problem solver, and our vision is to change the way that people think. What if everybody was a solution? Today, I'd like to welcome my guest, Sarah Reynolds, from the Sarah Reynolds Network through KW. Welcome, Sarah.
Thanks, Maria. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you today. Boy, lady, you are sure busy.
Yes.
What's going on?
Yes, I do.
So I saw you're in how many markets now?
So our main market is the DC metro market, so not too far from you, Maria. And so we service all of Northern Virginia, DC, and Maryland. And then about 3 years ago, we expanded to Richmond, Virginia. So that's like about 2 hours south from where I'm standing right now. And then almost a year ago, we expanded to Atlanta, Georgia, which was our first get on a plane expansion. And then we just announced our expansion with our expansion partner, Kristen Troy, to the Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads market. So I guess technically it depends on how you break up DC Metro. I break it up into 3 different markets. And so if that's the case, then we're in 6 different markets.
Well, you're sure busy.
Yes.
So welcome to 2021.
Yes, we made it.
We made it.
Exactly.
What do you see happening for this year?
Well, good question. I think very much similar to 2020 in terms of inventory levels. We actually, I believe, share a similar MLS, Maria. And if you look at inventory levels, we're down about 30 to 40% compared to the exact same time last year in active listings. So inventory is still extremely tight. So we're seeing that happen. We are also, I believe, interest rates will stay low. So I'm predicting still a really good real estate year. I know that 2020 was hard overall, but I know that we were able to help a lot of families, and we got a lot of joy out of that by focusing on what we can control. So
that's us, what we can control.
Exactly. That's the thing, is focusing on what you can control. I'm a firm believer in that. So I tell my team a lot, when you get overwhelmed or when you feel like the world is sort of crashing in, make a list of everything you have going on, and then cross out the things that you can't control, which is a lot. There's a lot of things we can't control, and then focus on the things you can. So,
which is number one is how we respond.
Exactly. How we respond. Exactly.
How we take our emotions into consideration, but also how we verbalize them, which can be difficult with the emotions running high.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what do you do to keep it all in control and to be the solution for your people? How do you do it, Sarah? Because you got a lot of people that you're responsible for.
Yeah, so I mean, we have about 120 team members. So if you look at we got our inside sales team, our operations team, our agent partners, our client care department. So it can definitely be a lot. And I will tell you that 2020 was for sure the most stressful year in my leadership because everyone's different, right? And so we're leaders. I'm leaders in what I call my team family to everyone. And there's tons of different opinions and tons of different things going on. And so it was a very difficult year. But what I do, my sort of mission in terms of being the solution for my team is first and foremost being the leader in terms of protecting my mindset. So being really careful about what I let into my world, who I let into my world, making sure that I'm focused on positive people, positive solutions, and then working fast. So when COVID hit, we were the first team to come out with the COVID-19 seller protection plan and the COVID-19 buyer protection plan in the country. Many teams followed us after that, which was great, but being solution oriented to our clients. So how can we still help clients in the midst of a pandemic. And so coming up with strategies around that. So number one, protecting my mindset, and then really leading the charge and protecting my team members' mindsets, and then being really quick to respond to the market conditions and to the market to adjust to make sure that we're providing value to buyers and sellers.
Well, we certainly did not know how much we would be needed this past 10 months.
Yes. And how much our ways of pivoting. I love the sort of traditional realtor spirit because we're entrepreneurial. We're very out of the box. You can't put realtors in a box. And so I love that about us. And I think that what you saw happen in the midst of the pandemic is like that spirit sort of rise. And so many of us were thinking outside of the box. So many of us were working on solutions for our clients, and we were so needed. And more people care so much about their homes right now than ever before. And what an opportunity for us.
It's an amazing opportunity, and I'm so blessed and grateful to be part of it. We could be another business that just didn't make it through all this. So
exactly. No, that's what I kept telling, my team members. I kept like every day, let's wake up with gratitude, because how many industries, think about movie theaters, right? If that was our industry, like that's been basically almost completely wiped out. Some industries have been basically removed, and then we get to be in an industry that we are belly to belly with buyers and sellers every single day, either online or in person. And what an opportunity it was to serve so many clients last year. We were able to, our first year where we crossed over 1,000 families. So that was a big deal.
Oh, that's a huge deal.
Yes. Yeah, we were celebrating. So
congratulations to you and your staff.
Thank you. It was awesome.
Amazing.
Yes.
In regards to that, in 2021, are you on a growth cycle from that 1,000 families served? Or are you kind of just getting everything in line since you've opened up another market center?
Yeah.
More people?
Absolutely. So what our sort of long-term vision, and that was another thing that I think was really key for 2020 for us is, if you think back, like through history, okay, and you can just look at like since 2000, right? I don't know if you remember like Y2K, when everyone thought that the
MTR.
Yes, that the world was going to end. And I know people in my church and stuff were like, getting spam and like making sure to like prepare for the world ending. We had that happen. We had, of course, September 11th which was a huge impact to those of us on the East Coast. The whole world was impacted by that, right? And then right after that, closely after that, we had the financial crisis. So if you think about just in the last like 20 years, or I guess almost 21 years now, the different things that have happened in our country, in our world. And I kept telling my team, I said, right now, this feels really heavy. Like we're never going to forget 2020 ever. Okay. Just like we don't forget those times. Right. But what will impact us is if we forget about our long-term vision during this time. Because if you think about it, like how people reacted during the financial crisis, you see those agents and you see those businesses hold market share still today because they kept their long-term vision in front of them. And so making sure that we have our long-term vision of where we want to go, because eventually this is going to be a memory, eventually, okay? And so if our actions right now need to still be focused on our long-term vision. And so we kept that in the forefront. And so for me, our long-term vision, our 5-year vision, really, it's not our long-term vision, it's our 5-year vision, is to be in 10 major metro cities, helping 1,000 families a month. And so we just hit 1,000 families for the year. And so now we want to do that a month. And so that's 100 families in each major metro city. And why that's important to us is that we have an impact on those communities and that we're able to give back a large portion of the commission to those communities, because that's where my heart is. And so when you ask that question, we are 100% on a growth trajectory because I'm keeping that vision in front of me, right? We announced our Atlanta expansion right when COVID hit, March 1st. And I started getting calls from friends and different people saying, "Are you going to back out? Like you shouldn't be expanding right now during a global pandemic." And I said to them, my response was, I partnered with the right person to where we can problem solve this and we can still grow in the midst of a crisis, and we did. And so to answer your question, we are 100% in growth mode. That is one of our core values, is to grow and to help make a bigger impact on our world, on our industry. And so that's what we focus on, is growth and serving more people, and finding the right partners that align with us is our goal.
So the part about giving back into the communities, what does that look like?
So what that looks like is that we have multiple worthy causes that we sort of partner with in each of our markets. And then what we do is that we focus on our client database around giving because so many of our clients have a heart to give. And so what we work with our clients on is that every single referral, every single introduction that they give to our team family, we turn around and we give a portion of that commission back to the worthy cause in their name. So we work together with our client family to give back to a worthy cause. So in the DC metro market, we partner with Children's National Hospital, which is right in Washington, DC, and they don't turn away sick kids, even though it costs them millions of dollars to service families that don't have the funds to pay for it. And they've made a big impact on my life. My daughter has a very rare hearing loss condition. She was born hearing, and she lost her hearing. She started losing her hearing when she was about 3.5 years old. Wow. And after months and months of like pounding every doctor's door, trying to figure out what was going on with my daughter, we found Children's National Hospital, and they specialize. They're the #1 specialist on the East Coast for what she has, which is so rare. Like I'm in a parent group for what my daughter has, and it's a worldwide Facebook group, and there's only 900 parents in the group. That shows how rare it is. And so we partner with Children's National Hospital to where we give a portion of our commission to Children's National, and then they let our clients know that was on their behalf because they referred us someone. We also partner with the Fisher House Foundation, which provides housing for our military, our amazing heroes locally, and so we partner with them as well. They're the #1 rated VA organization, and we're just being in the DC metro market. We're just a big believer in helping our military because that's a big part of our clientele. And so those are the two that we partner with in DC. But then each market, we choose a worthy cause, and then a portion of our commission goes back. So last year in the DC metro market, we were able to surpass our highest giving year, which we passed over 300,000 in giving back to worthy causes. So that out of everything is my most favorite number to share because that's the heart of our team.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's awesome. It's our client, really.
Yeah. So you have a lot of work ahead of you, and it requires great team members. So what do you look for when bringing somebody into your organization, your family?
Yes. So the first thing is that sort of team mindset. So that in a traditional sense, so like in a traditional real estate world, okay, you get your real estate license and you join a brokerage, and then you're responsible for everything, right? Right. And a lot of people are made for that, and they're attracted to that. They're made for that. They thrive in that, and I love watching them really help families through that. I believe strongly in a team model. which is focusing on your strength and how God gifted you to be specialized in that. I don't know about you, Maria, but I wasn't that good with all of the like little details. When I was out there working with buyers and sellers, I would.
Now I'm only good at like one or two things.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's definitely not paperwork or writing contracts.
Exactly. So we're good at limited. I'm good at limited things. Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, if I can just focus on what God gifted me in, where my strength is, can you imagine A, how happy I am, and then B, what a great job I will do, because that's my strength, right? And so the team model is
you can focus on your superpower.
Exactly. Focus on your superpower. So what number one thing we look for is like someone that believes in teamwork. They have to believe in that. Now, not everyone does, and that's okay, right? And they should do their own thing. They should but they have to believe in being a team player. So someone that like has a sports background a lot of times loves our model because they understand the power of a team, right? And so that's first and foremost, number one quality. And then really probably I should have said before that is like just the heart to serve people. Not everyone, when we sit down with someone and we say, what got you into the real estate business? And, if they say like, well, like if they say number one, money, I'm like, ooh, okay. And then if they say number two, like, I love houses or something like that, like what we look for is someone that has a heart for people. They want to help people. They want to serve people. And so making sure that their heart is in that place. And then really number three is like, we're winners. We believe in winning. And we believe in that sort of like winning mindset to figure things out, to put ourselves, problem solve it out. The best realtors are amazing problem solvers. So that's what we look for, those three qualities.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
That's what we came up with to be the solution.
Which I love.
Because we sat around and we said, okay, we're going to do this podcast. I'm like, I'm going to do a podcast. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, I said, well, what do we do? And then I think back about, we get a lot of, I call them the challenging cases, meaning they've been on the market 2 times.
Yes.
The third broker.
Yes.
3 times. And then I come in and I fix it all.
Exactly.
Solve the problem, solve the solution, be the solution. I said, oh my God, that's it. Be the solution.
Yes.
So
I love that. I tell my team, I say, it's important that we realize like we're the pilots in a really turbulent flight.
Yes.
Our job is to still land the plane and to help them in a really turbulent situation. And it's easy, like a simple transaction or a transaction with no problems, that doesn't take a skilled realtor. That, if everything works out perfectly and there's no problems that arise, that doesn't take tons and tons of skill. What takes skill is solving those really hard cases, right? We had a client a lead call yesterday about booking an appointment with us, and they told one of our inside sales agents, I've heard through the years that you guys are able to help people that no one else could. And I was like, man, let's keep that reputation going, right? So be the solution. I love that.
Get that on video.
Exactly. I need to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you look for people with a little bit of a competitive spirit.
Yes. Yeah. That's my number one strength. I don't know if you've ever studied Strength Finders, but competitiveness is my number one. And so typically you attract who you are, right? And so like a competitive spirit, a desire to win, a desire to help people like in a competitive way, that's who we're looking for.
So what do you think is going to be some of our biggest challenges this year as we face as real estate agents?
I think, I have multiple coaches. That's how much help I need, right?
How many do you have?
I have 3.
Oh, you beat me. I have 2.
Yeah, yes. And so I'm a big believer in coaches and getting help. And so, I was talking with one of them, and our listing inventory is really low, as I mentioned, and our team listing inventory is really low. And so I was talking to him and I said, he said, well, your listings are really down. Like, what's going on? I was looking at your numbers, and I was like, yeah, well, listing inventory is low everywhere. And he was like, it is. So when you drive out your driveway, there's no homes. And I was like, what? He said, you mean listing inventory is low in the MLS? And I was like, yes. He said, but there aren't less homes. I was like, correct. He said, okay, so that means you need to figure out a solution to find people that aren't in the MLS for your clients, for your buyers. And so the biggest challenge, and I'm hearing this like across the board, is finding homes. And so right now we're working on quite a few programs we've always focused on off-market properties. About 50% of home sales never make it into the MLS. And I don't think a lot of realtors even realize that. So right now we're missing out on 50% of the available inventory, people that actually want to move. And so if we can be the solution to find those people and be the solution in matching homes and just thinking outside the box with this, we can help more families. So I think the biggest really thing that's holding a lot of us back, or the biggest issue in 2021 is for sure the lack of inventory. But honestly, it comes down to let's think outside the box on how to help people. What would we do if there were no MLS, right? And thinking like that, we would act differently. We would be talking more to each other as realtors. Like, what do you got? Who do you know that's looking to move? Who can we match? We would be talking more as an industry. And so that's how we should be looking at it, which is different. And different sometimes can make everyone a little uneasy. But I would say that is the biggest sort of hurdle that we need to overcome.
That uncomfortableness is where the growth happens, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, there are a lot of houses out there.
Exactly.
I had a conversation yesterday with a potential client. I guess she'll be a client. And I said, look, you have to think about something. She's like, well, I don't understand. There's no comps for my place. I said, because last spring, the condo market, people didn't put their properties on the market. So think about all the people that would have listed last year that didn't list.
Yeah.
Like some ideas. So what about, the rentals that happened last year, people that rented that now have tenants in there, but their tenants' leases are coming up.
Exactly.
They're sellers.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. Or people that withdrew or expired 3 years ago.
Yep. Expires. So I that's how I built my business, Sarah, is
nice.
Expired listings.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was in the industry for about a year and a half, 2 years, and I didn't even know what it was. I worked for a tiny little company. So when I found out about them, I'm like, oh my God, I'm calling these people.
Yes. I love that.
Signs everywhere, and then signs bring buyers.
Well,
right?
Expireds needs the solution more than anybody.
Yeah.
I can see why you were attracted to that, and then the name of your podcast. Because to me, that's what you are, the solution. I mean, I remember I don't sit down with as many buyers and sellers anymore. My agent partners do. But when I would sit down with those that were expired, I remember they feel discouraged, right? They feel like something's wrong with their house. They're like not, and so sitting down and then showing them, okay, this is how we're going to get it sold, and having confidence in that and being the solution for them. There's a few the most rewarding feelings in the industry. And that is one of them, as well as, of course, helping first-time home buyers. So I love it.
Yes. I still am on the listing side. One day I'll be like you and not on the listing side anymore.
Well, a lot depends on what you enjoy, right? So
but you have to pick, and you can't do everything.
Exactly. And the thing is I really enjoy listings, and that goes back to the winning and the competitive sort of drive and things like that. And I have found that my passion is in team building. I get more, for me, it's making an impact on our industry. Our industry has a 95% fill rate.
95. I thought it was 87. It went up.
Yes, 95% for if people that got licensed 3 years ago, only 5% of them are actually still licensed. And so, or maybe that was a 5-year stat. I'll have to look at that again. But it is
nonetheless, it's very high.
It's very high. Yeah, it's one of the highest. So anywhere between 87 to 95, that's where we're at. And so for me, that's why I'm so passionate about team building, because I think that is a big solution, is to have that different setup for people, to have a different option. And so for me, I've just become so passionate about helping those in our industry that came in with an amazing heart, but they didn't know how to be good at every single thing, which is most of us. So, yeah.
Let me ask you about this. Do you think that it's because there's too many things to do in the transaction that they don't make it, or that they don't want it enough, or that they're not in the right environment? Because I kind of did I want to say a survey, because I wasn't a survey, it was my life.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, I few years back, 5 years, I guess, and now it's 5 years, I was recruiting brand new agents. And I thought, wow, they're going to work under my tutelage. They are going to be fantastic.
Yes.
And then by the end of that year, I was almost broke.
Yeah.
So I said, Sarah, I went, oh my God. I said, what am I going to do? This is terrible. So I said, I'm going to go back into selling 150% and build this machine around me, right? This marketing machine. And so I did. And then I said, you know what? That's I was looking in the wrong place, because I think if you're in the business like 1 to 2 years and you love it, but you're not really getting maybe your 5, 6, 7 transactions, and you know how to do the DocuSign, and you really want to stay in the business, I think that's the time for a great team member.
True. Yeah. I think, it just depends. I guess everyone's story is a little bit different, and what they, I've actually not given that a lot of thought. I'm gonna marinate on that question in terms of what do I think it is. In my mind, in my mind, a lot of it is, and why we've built this sort of appointment booking machine. So we have an inside sales department that's booking 150 to 200 appointments a week.
A week?
A week.
How does that work?
It works amazing.
I like it. How does it work, though? How many inside salespeople are there?
So right now we have 12 producing inside sales agents. And they are the best in the industry. I started building out our inside sales team 9 years ago. So I've been working at this for a long time.
Yeah.
And it is, what I have found is, when I sit down with realtors and I ask them, like I said in the beginning, like, what got you into the industry? And they share with me their amazing heart, right? But they don't realize that they got into a lead generation industry. Like, that's what our job is when we become a realtor, is to lead generate, to find people looking to buy or sell a home.
100%.
And they don't know how to do that. And they didn't get in to do that because they didn't realize that's what it was. That's what the majority of them don't realize what it was. Agreed. And so that's why we started building out this inside sales department, because I personally loved working with clients versus cold calling expired. Some people love cold calling expireds, right? And so depending on what you like to do. And so for me, I think a big portion of it is either not realizing it or not wanting to focus on lead gen. And if you don't focus on that, then you need to then join a team that is doing that, or this might not be the industry for you, right? And so because that is a big portion of what our job is. And so our inside sales team is sort of the solution for that. We have found to be the solution for that. But that is a big reason why I believe a lot get out of the industry is for that.
100%. I mean, it's actually, I think, almost, I want to say impossible, because here we are, but.
Yeah, here we are, we made it.
But it's very, very far and few between that actually can be the rainmaker, right?
Yeah.
And you have to build a personality brand.
Yes.
have to build that. So you're attracting all that opportunity, and then have process systems, people in place to do the right thing behind the scenes.
Yes.
And when I walked into this industry in 2004, 5, around there, I thought to myself, this is the most ridiculous industry I've ever seen, how something works.
Seriously, I agree.
And what you built, it's really amazing. And I applaud you and congratulate you, because I know how hard it is to do it. I've been attempting to do this, different iterations of it for the last, little bit now. I'm not giving up, but I know how hard it is to do. And I had this dream of having this inside sales team, and they would give all the appointments exactly what you've done.
Yeah.
So offline, I like to talk to you more about that. But
yeah, no, of course. No, that is, it has been many sleepless nights and many problem solving, big problems to figure out how to keep inside sales agents. So the big problem when someone is developing an inside sales team is keeping them. And if you talk to and so figuring out, okay, what kind of leader do I need to be that provides enough opportunity for my inside sales agents? And so really nailing that, which took a couple years, 2 to 3 years to figure that out. Now I have inside sales agents that have been with me 5 years, 6 years, like my average is 4 to 6 years right now, which is pretty unheard of.
Yeah.
And so that's a big part of it, is like understanding, okay, a lot of people bring them on and then they leave pretty quickly because it's a hard role. It's a very hard role.
So are you working inbound, or are they doing outbound as well? And where are the lead sources coming from?
So we have over 30 lead pillars, and we do all inbound right now.
So the radio, TV, direct.
Radio is a small portion of what we do. We do a lot with our database. So loving on our database. So through the worthy causes and things like that, they still call into the office. And so our inside sales works our database. So that's warm, right? People that are in our database. And then the other big portion is like, we do a lot of like farming, direct mail. We're big believers in direct mail. And the third is focusing on like those expired and for sale by owners. We focus on those as well. So, but we have over 30 different lead pillars. So
that's a lot of things to master.
Yeah. Like, I mean, radio in the midst of COVID is like almost non-existent. So
yeah,
so that's for sure can't be our main focus.
Yeah. So some of the talk stuff is still good.
Yeah, well, politically speaking, it's like in a political year, radio can be really hard because they're all spending money on. It's very competitive. So
it's very competitive.
Yeah,
in fact,
so competitive.
We had we pulled out of our TV buy for fourth quarter because, I mean, I wasn't going to be dealing with make goods and And the fact that if my schedules have to run, if they don't run, that doesn't produce opportunities, and I have to deploy that money elsewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, digitally, we've been focusing a lot on digital, and people are in front of their computers, and that's my main job as lead gen director of our team. And so, right now, the goal is to generate between 500 to 800 leads a week.
And then you book 150 to 200 appointments from that?
Yeah, last week we booked 182 out of about 505 leads.
And do the appointments, do they keep them?
Do they all happen? No, not all of them happen. No. So we have about a 65 to 70% happen rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they also the buyers and sellers, or?
Yes. Buyers and sellers. Sellers have a higher show rate, so we typically are around 80% for that. But buyers can be like 50 to 60, depending on the time, what's going on.
So that's a great opportunity for your team members and the ones that are going to come on board, because you're providing them. They're just plugging into your system and then going and showing or
yes.
property, right?
Well, they get to do what they love to do, which is what they thought they were getting into real estate to do. We keep them focused on that. So absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then we're expanding that engine to these other markets. And so that's where, and I'm not aware of another expansion team that's doing that, to where they're actually centralizing the lead gen, the marketing, the inside sales team. And so we just launched Virginia Beach last Monday, and our inside sales team already booked 2 to 3 appointments last week. And we just started. Like, that was just the start. Atlanta, we started 9 months ago, and last week we booked 34 appointments for our team in Atlanta. And so that's the one sort of difference in our sort of model compared to a lot of the other amazing expansion networks as well.
That's super duper exciting for sure.
Yeah, it's been fun.
You've done something else really exciting this past year.
Yes.
You launched a podcast.
I did. Yes.
With 3 other great ladies.
Yes, Empire Building. I have 3 amazing co-hosts. So Wendy Papazian, Via Williams, and Seychelle Van Poel. And we have all been sort of friends for multiple years. And, one of my all of our missions is to amplify the voices of women in business around the world. And, another astounding stat is 65% of all real estate licenses are held by females. So 65% are held by females. But if you look at the Wall Street Journal Real Trends, if you look at the Keller Williams Top 100 report, less than 30% are women-led. So if you want to ponder on something, that's astounding. So in an industry that has more real estate licensees, the leaders in the industry, the ones that are really doing the most, are male-led. And part of that, I'm a young mom. I have a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And part of that is a lot of females don't realize that they can do it. They can build an empire, and they can lead a really big business. They have this limiting belief. And part of it is because they're not, first of all, seeing a lot of people that are doing it, which is that's why I speak out. That's why I agreed to do this podcast, to be honest. I want other young females to see, I can build an empire. I can do it too. And our mission sort of together, we created an organization called Amplify, and it's about amplifying the lives and voices of women in business around the world. And we're first starting with our industry, which is real estate. So we started building this, and then Gary Keller approached us because he knows that that is our heart. He also sees the astounding difference, right, in those numbers, and wants to make a change as well. And so he approached us and asked us the 4 of us to do a podcast. And we just, I think, launched our 40th episode. So we're not keeping up with you, Maria, yet. Like, it's amazing how many you're doing. But we just launched our 40th episode, and we're just having so much fun. We just crossed 80,000 downloads, so that was a big deal.
Wow.
Yes, that was awesome.
That's you. You've been busy.
Busy. Yes, I love it. I'm having so much fun.
So people always ask this question of successful entrepreneurs. So do you keep a schedule, and what does that look like?
Yes, I for sure keep a schedule, but mine looks a little bit different than a lot of the successful entrepreneurs you talk to, because I am a young mom. So the difference is, normally I'm not into the office until about 9:30. So I came in early for you, Maria. Yes. And why is because that's my time with my son. And so my son, Lincoln, I spend my mornings with him. And so we're together until my nanny gets to the house. And then I start. Now I wake up obviously before him, and my goal is to do about a 30-minute workout. And then I do my prayer devotionals, and I read my Bible and get my mindset where I want it to be. And then I look at my priorities for the day. This is all before he wakes up. And I've used for years something called a Panda planner. I don't know if you can see that panda on it, which helps you sort of prioritize for the day. And so every day I start with gratitude, what I'm thankful for. I write out my priorities. And then I also number the priorities, because the whole word of priorities is actually crazy because there can really only be one priority. And so figuring out what is that one priority that I need to walk away from the office today with a success. And so I figure that out in the morning, and then I spend the morning with my son, Lincoln. And then when my nanny gets to the office, then my day starts. And so depending on the day of the week, I have sort of focuses. So I'm a big time block person, but more like a day block person. And so on Mondays, my focus is on my lead gen director job, which is to make sure that we got enough leads the week before and then make adjustments to any of our lead pillars that I'm seeing problems with. And then I spend a lot of my time on Monday with my executive leadership team. So we have our executive leadership team meeting, which takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then focusing on that lead gen director role. And then on Tuesdays, I have one-on-ones with either my area growth leaders or the same sort of morning setup as Monday. But on Tuesdays, I have one-on-ones with either my area growth leaders or my executive leadership team. On Wednesday, that's what I call Hi, I, Sarah Day. So that's today. I have my team meeting at 10 o'clock, and it's across the organization. So every location comes online, and I talk to the team. I train the team. I focus on what we're rolling out, maybe a new marketing thing that I'm launching. And so they need to get trained on it. And then typically, like today, I'm taking the top 5 agent partners out to lunch. So it's like my time to spend time with all of my team. And then Thursday is basically content building day. So Friday we record our podcast. So I make sure I'm prepared for Friday. I build some social media content. It's back to sort of the lead gen sort of role. And then Friday is podcast, and then all the problems that need to be solved. So that's sort of the way my routine / week looks.
That's a full action-packed.
Oh yes, it is. Yes, it is. From the minute my feet hit the ground, there's stuff going on.
So if you don't spend your first half hour of the day getting yourself meditated, Zen, Bible, reading, what happens?
Honestly, I mean, I've strayed away from that like very few times in my life, and it's been hard parts of my life, meaning like I don't recommend it because I recommend making sure that is a priority. Whatever you do spiritually, grounding yourself to who you are and grounding yourself at your core of who you are and knowing going into it, right? I mean, that sort of white space, like I believe a lot of times, like God speaks to me during that time in terms of what direction we need to go in, what direction we need to go in with our team members, what direction we need to go in with our long-term vision, the podcast, things like that. But really, a lot of people call that white space now. Whatever sort of like the silent time of thinking. One of the books that I read last year that made a big impact is The Road Less Stupid. I don't know if you've read that, but
I haven't read that one.
Yeah, it's really good. And The Road Less Stupid, he talks about, it's Keith Cunningham, and he talks about how it's great to have coaches. And obviously Maria and I believe fully in having coaches, right? It's great to have coaches, but no one knows your business more than you do. And the problem with a lot of entrepreneurs, the problem with a lot of businesses is that they don't have enough thinking time in their schedule. They're doing, and they're not thinking, they're not preparing. So for me, having that 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what I have going on, to really focus on, okay, Sarah. So feeding into Sarah, right? Which I get through reading the Bible, I get through prayer, and then having just some silent time, writing things out, journaling, thinking about the future, thinking about different parts of my business. I mean, honestly, without that, I don't know what my day would look like. That's scary to imagine. So it's a big part of who I am.
So it's extremely important that people focus on that. I see a lot of times people get up and they run out the door and no time for reading or meditating or you're running to the office. You get to the office and you're like, and you start your day like that. And then I don't know how that can lead to a productive day. I mean, I've been guilty of it myself. So
Oh, for sure. I think all of us get into some bad like habits at times, depending on what we have going on. But when your podcast, Be the Solution, that name, I remember when I first got my real estate license. So I started working with my mom, Debbie. So she has been a realtor since 1988. And it was my first transaction where at closing, it didn't go as planned. And this was like, of course, one of my very first deals. And I panicked. Like I'm talking like completely panicked. And she looks at me really sternly and she goes, "You're going to sit down and you're going to be calm." Right? And so a big part of being the solution is to remain calm. And so what are we doing to start our day in this crazy industry, a very difficult industry, where we're pulled in tons of different directions? We're dealing with our clients when they're typically, I tell my team all the time, like typically they've had some big life event. Maybe you're selling their home they grew up in, right? Their parents passed away, and that's like so emotional, right? Maybe their last child just left home and they're downsizing, but that's sad. They feel sad. Like we're dealing with them during a lot of times life change events, which can be very emotional for them. And when we're dealing with people in their emotional sort of state, because they're in this period of their life where they have a lot of emotions going on, then we get pulled in all those different directions too. And we're along with them, right? And so if we don't keep ourselves grounded, if we don't keep our own emotions in check, if we're not spending every morning focusing on the good, focusing on getting our mindset right, then I think it makes it very difficult to be the solution if we're not doing that. And so that's the first step, is starting your morning off in the right way.
I think that it's the most important thing to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if you have to be behind a little bit in getting your day started to where you need to be.
Yeah.
Because the days that I sometimes problems sleeping, so I'll be up, from 3 to 5, and then I go back to sleep, and then I'm running like frantic. Those days I have to say, this is the most important thing to do.
Yeah.
And if I don't do that, and this is nothing to do with real estate. This is like being able to run a business, being able to think. I say the magic happens when nothing is happening.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah. One of my favorite things. I say I get my best ideas in the shower.
Yes, because nothing else is happening. We're thinking, right? It's that thinking time. I love it.
Yeah. And then it's like, we have to just keep going. And look, we all have challenges, and everybody, the world, right? Everybody has them. So I think for 2021, I don't want to add any more new things. My word for the year is mastery.
I love it. That's awesome. I love that word.
Just keeping focused, focusing on the superpower.
I love it.
Right?
Do it. I love it.
And knowing we're all going to come out of this.
Yes,
soon.
we are.
Very, very soon.
Very soon.
I'm very hopeful. I'm telling the clients, like, I think we will have a spring market this year.
Yes, I agree.
And I'm curious, down in DC, are you seeing it busier now than usual at this time of year?
We're always really busy this time of year. So this time of year is one of our busiest, right when New Year's hits. It's like crazy. It's spring market starts hitting. So we're pacing about very similarly, except more homes are under contract than typically. So yes, that means that we're busier.
Yeah, I noticed we had, which this past is really interesting because Christmas week, which was a short week, things started to break.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah, we're finding the same.
Yeah, so it's exciting. It's exciting for the agents and the buyers and the sellers. Hopefully, we're finding them the great properties that they can make their kingdom in.
Exactly. Yes, that's the goal, and start building their net worth and building that up through.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Sarah, I'm so grateful for you today to take the time to come in early, to be on Be the Solution. I am amazed of all of the work that you've done. Even though we just met, I've known you. We're friends on Facebook, but I've known of you for many years, and I've always admired everything that you've built. And you should be so proud and of all of it. And I wish you continued success.
Oh, thank you so much. It really has been, God has really surrounded me with amazing team members. And we've built it together. That leadership meeting on Monday is the most important day. And it's been 8 or 9 of us that built sort of this engine together. And it's really who's God brought into my life is a big part of it. So I want to make sure that he gets the glory in the end. I appreciate you saying that it's for sure about him for me.
Yes, that is a big part of it.
So,
but I want to thank you again, and I hope to have you back on the podcast at some point in time, and we'll catch up.
Let's do it.
So tell me how many more markets you've taken over.
Exactly. I'll get you updated.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah. Bye.